Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Roots to Results webinar series hosted by Manitoba Crop Alliance. My name is Morgan Cott, and I'll be the facilitator for today's session. This is one of 5 webinars in our series exploring farm business management topics that can drive measurable outcomes to your farm. We're so glad you've been able to join us. But before we begin, I'll just have a few quick housekeeping notes. So today's session will last about 60 minutes, and that'll include time for question and answers at the end. Please feel free to submit your questions anytime just using the Q&A feature. I'll gather those at the end and address as many as we can after the presentation. The session is also being recorded and will be available on MCA's YouTube channel. MCA will also be producing wrap-up articles that we will feature on our monthly e-newsletter summarizing the key takeaways. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Darcelle Graham. Darcelle is MCA's Chief Operating Officer and oversees MCA's Cash Advance program. Previously, she was Executive Director at the National Sunflower Association of Canada from 2007 until MCA's formation in 2020. Born and raised in the agriculture industry, Darcelle grew up on a mixed farm and is a proud University of Manitoba agriculture graduate. Darcelle and her husband and their 2 children operate a family farm near Roland. So I'm going to hand things over to Darcelle now, and you can take it away.
Thank you, Morgan. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. Today, we're going to walk through how financing can better align with realities of farming, and specifically how the Advanced Payments Program delivered by Manitoba Crop Alliance can support your operation. Whether you've used the program before or are hearing about it for the first time, our goal is simple: to give you a clear understanding of how this tool works and how it can create more flexibility and control in your operation. So let's start with something every producer can understand very well: the financing realities of farming. Farming is one of the most capital-intensive businesses out there. You're making significant investments months before you ever see a return. You're paying for seed, fertilizer, fuel, crop protection, labor, land, often before harvest and well before the grain is marketed. And while your expenses are fixed in time, your revenue is not. It depends on markets, weather, logistics, and timing. That creates a fundamental challenge. Cash flow doesn't always line up with the opportunity. So let's ask a simple question. What if you had control over your cash flow? What if you didn't have to sell your crop just to meet immediate financial needs? And what if your financing worked with your operation instead of against it? And what if you had the flexibility to make marketing decisions based on price, not pressure? That's exactly where today's conversation is focused. Before we get into the program itself, it's important to understand who we are. Manitoba Crop Alliance is a not-for-profit, farmer-directed organization representing over 7,700 farmer members here in the province of Manitoba. We represent crops including wheat, barley, corn, sunflowers, and flax. Our work is grounded in 5 core areas: research and production, market development, advocacy, and communications, and we are proud to be an administrator of the Advanced Payments Program. At the core of everything we do is a simple vision: to make Manitoba farmers more profitable and sustainable. And importantly, we are an organization built by farmers, for farmers. Manitoba Crop Alliance proudly assumed the administration of the Advanced Payments Program on August 1st, 2020 from the Manitoba corn growers. Administration of the Advanced Payments Program has been ongoing from our Carman office since 1981. We are proudly celebrating 45 years as an administrator in 2026. We are one of 26 administrators across Canada, and we focus on Manitoba producers. What that means is that we are delivering the federal program directly to producers right here, locally, based out of rural Manitoba. And something we take a lot of pride in is our service approach. We understand farming, we understand timing, and we work to provide responsive, practical support when you need it. So what exactly is the Advanced Payments Program, or what many of you may know as Cash Advance? The Advanced Payments Program is a federal finance program that provides producers with access to cash based on the value of your agriculture product you produce. One of the key strengths of the program is that it's backed by the Government of Canada through Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. The program operates under federal legislation, and the government guarantees repayment to the administrator. It's designed to help you manage operating costs, meet financial obligations, and create flexibility in how and when you market your crop. This isn't a traditional loan. It's a program specifically built for agriculture and designed around the realities of your operation. Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada cover the interest on the first portion of the advance. What that means for you is lower costs, lower risk financing, and delivered through a trusted framework. So let's dig into why farmers use the Cash Advance program. At a high level, it comes down to three things. First, managing cash flow gaps. Secondly, reducing reliance on high-cost borrowing options. And third, gaining flexibility in marketing decisions. This program is not just about accessing cash. It's about improving how and when you make decisions on your farm. One of the key features of this program is that it offers an 18-month advance window. For example, for the 2026 program year, it runs from April 1st, 2026 to September 15th, 2027. Farmers that apply in the pre-production period have up to 18 months to repay the loan. This extends repayment periods, giving farmers flexibility to manage cash flows through the production cycle and after harvest. So let's walk through some of the key benefits. The first is access to meaningful capital. Eligible producers can access up to $1 million per program year, depending on their operation. This provides reliable cash flow to cover real day-to-day farm expenses, such as inputs, labor, maintenance, and any unexpected costs. It's important to share that this is a great tool for young farmers who are getting started. This program allows farmers to access the Cash Advance program without the requirement of owning land or equipment. However, the farmer must own the commodity and the ability to market the agriculture product. The second major benefit is cost savings through the interest-free benefit. For producers that want to borrow beyond the interest-free portion, the interest-bearing rate with MCA is prime minus 0.5%, and for today, that rate is 3.95%. This represents a significant savings compared to many traditional financing options. MCA strives to beat the bank in terms of offering the best rates available to Manitoba producers. We work with our lender to secure competitive rates in order to pass those savings on to our clients. The third key benefit is repayment flexibility. This is one of the biggest differences compared to traditional loans. There are no fixed monthly payments. Instead, you repay the advance as you sell the commodity. That means the repayment aligns directly with your income, reducing pressure during tight periods. And finally, this program gives you the ability to market on your own terms. With cash flow in place, you can hold grain for stronger prices, avoid selling into weak markets, and spread your sales across the year. It allows you to move from reactive selling to strategic marketing. So in terms of the eligibility, producers can access up to $1 million per program year, with the federal government paying the interest on the first $100,000 per program year, or for this year, the first $500,000 for canola advances. The interest-bearing amount on advances over the $100,000 or $500,000 is calculated at a preferred rate of MCA's prime minus 0.5%. We do want to note that the interest-bearing rate varies by administrators, and clients are encouraged to take note of that rate if they do plan to go into interest-bearing. To put that into context, for a producer that solely takes the interest-free benefit of $100,000 and assuming the borrowing rate is at the current rate of prime 4.45%, that would equal interest savings of $4,450. Or if they're eligible for up to $500,000 interest-free with canola, that's a savings of interest of up to $22,250 for a year. And that is a direct savings to your farm. Your cash advance is calculated based on 50% of the anticipated value of the agriculture product that you are producing or have in storage. This ensures that the advance is aligned with your actual operation. We do want to share that you cannot have more than $1 million in advances outstanding at any one time with any APP administrator. To access an advance, there are a few requirements to be aware of. Your advance must be secured. The security will depend on the type and state of the agriculture product at the time that you apply. The agriculture product on which the advance is based on is always required for security. For advances on agriculture products that are in production, additional security is required. This includes one or more of the potential proceeds from a relevant business risk management program, such as agri-insurance, agri-stability, or the Global Ag Risk Solutions Program. In addition, some cases, additional security may be required, and priority agreements may be needed to be in place with banks, lending institutions, or secured parties that have a security interest on the agricultural product for which the advance is on. These are standard safeguards that help ensure that the program remains sustainable as well as accessible. From a process perspective, the program is designed to be straightforward. You can apply pre-production, post-seed called pre-production, or post-harvest called post-production. If applying under the pre-production period, your advance will be paid in two parts. You will receive an initial portion of your advance, which is up to 60% at the time of approval, with the remaining 40% after planting. And importantly, once your advance is complete, funds will be issued in as little as 3 to 5 business days here at Manitoba Crop Alliance. Now let's move into the repayment process. Repayment is tied directly to your sales. Repayment is due within 18 months or once your crop is sold, whichever comes first, giving you the time to manage finances without immediate pressure. Your cash advance must be repaid on the crops listed on your advance as they are sold. Payments to MCA should be made within 30 days from the day you receive payment. Repayments made before or on January 29, 2027 do not require proof of sale documentation. All payments after that date must be accompanied with proof of sale documentation and paid within the 30-day repayment window to avoid cash repayment interest charged at interest rate of prime plus 1%. The last day to repay your 2026 program year advance is September 15, 2027. The structure is designed to align with your operation while maintaining program integrity. It's important to understand your responsibilities. If you do not meet the obligations of the application and repayment agreement, your account will be placed into default. Several things will occur, including default interest is charged at prime plus 1% on the outstanding balance from the date the advance was issued to the date of default. Also, default interest is charged at prime plus 3% on the outstanding balance from the date of default until repaid in full. And a one-time default management fee of 3% is applied to the outstanding balance after the default notice. When in default, you will be ineligible for a period of time. The length of time will depend on how long it takes for full repayment of the advance, including any fees and default history. We encourage all clients to refer to the terms and conditions of your APP cash advance application to understand your responsibilities. The key takeaway here is that the program is flexible, but it does require accountability. In terms of eligibility, the program is quite broad. Any eligible farmers who meet the criteria outlined in the application form can apply for an advance with Manitoba Crop Alliance. To be eligible, farmers must be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. A corporation, cooperative, or partnership can also apply, of which the majority interest is held by Canadian citizens or permanent residents. Applicants must be 18 years of age, have produced, be producing, and own the agriculture product and be responsible for its marketing. MCA advances on over 35 eligible crop types, including cereals, oilseeds, pulses, specialty crops, and honey. So let's walk through the producer application process. Applying is straightforward. You can download the application forms online at mcacashadvance.ca, by phone and calling the office at 1-877-598-5685, or in person through Manitoba Crop Alliance. Our staff can provide assistance as you complete your application. All application forms are fillable and can be completed electronically before signing. And again, our goal is to make this process as simple and accessible as possible. Now let's walk through how to complete your cash advance application. And before we go into the details, I do want to highlight that Manitoba Crop Alliance is now accepting applications for the Spring Cash Advance Program, with funds beginning to be issued starting April 1st, 2026. The key thing to keep in mind is that this is a structured process, but is built to reflect how your farm actually operates. The application is designed to capture three main things: who you are as a producer, what you're producing, and what crop is backing the advance. So now I'll walk through this step by step so you know exactly what is required and why. Step 1 includes the core documents that every applicant must complete. These forms establish your agreement in the program and outline how the advance will work. The producer application is the main document. This is where you'll provide your business details, structure, and production information. The priority agreement is important. It confirms that Manitoba Crop Alliance has priority on your crop you're using as security for the advance. This is standard for the program and ensures the advance is backed appropriately. And finally, the amendment to the application and repayment agreement outlines the specific terms tied to this program year. One important note here: these documents are not just administrative. They are the formal agreement that governs your advance, so accuracy and completeness are critical. To highlight the key areas of the application, please refer to those sections highlighted in yellow on the producer advance. For the producer advance application, you must complete the following sections as outlined in the checklist on your screen. Part 1A or B, depending on your business structure, so either for an individual producer or for a corporation. Part 1C, which is the declaration of bankruptcy, and Part D, the declaration of APP advances from other administrators. Part 2 includes your security information, as well as Part 3. Please read and check the appropriate boxes as outlined regarding consent to related producers. Section 1.1.1, self-identification questions. Clients may complete this section as outlined with the option to decline to identify, or if they prefer, not to answer. Part 3 of the advance is the declaration of the applicant, which must be signed and dated. And Part 4 is a section to be completed by sole proprietors. Part 5 is your personal liability for corporations and sole shareholders. Part 6 includes your joint and several liability for corporations, partnerships, or partnerships of corporations with multiple stakeholders. Appendix 2A is your BRM Program Proceeds assignment, which must be completed and signed. Appendix 9 is the acknowledgement of debt, which must be completed, signed, and dated. Resolutions to the Board of Directors is to be completed by corporations. The client authorization form is optional, but should be complete if authorization is granted by MCA for a spouse, a child, an office worker, an accountant to speak to MCA about your account and your advance. Priority agreements must be secured with creditors and must be completed by creditors for each and any parties that have security interest or a lien on the ag product being applied for. For corporations, there's one additional consideration. If your corporation includes a family trust as a shareholder, an alternate guarantee form is required. This requires that the appropriate parties are accountable within the agreement. If you're unsure whether this applies to you, please reach out and our staff can walk you through it. So once you've completed the core documents, the next step is selecting the right production worksheet. This is where you provide the details that determine how much you're eligible to receive. And this is based entirely on where you are in your production cycle. If you haven't seeded yet, you're working with a projected production. The pre-production worksheet captures your intended acres and expected yields. If you're enrolled in AgriStability, there's a version tailored to that program. At this stage, the advance is based on anticipated production, so it's important that your estimates are realistic and aligned with your operation. Producers are required to complete the following. Section 1, if you are a current APP client, please include your APP client number, the name of the individual or producer, as well as your crop insurance number. Under Section 2, this is a summary of your 2025 or 2026 advances that you have applied for and received. Section 3 includes the intended seeded acreage information. Complete the agriculture product applying for, the yield protection level from crop insurance, intended seeded acres at the advance rate for the ag product found on MCA's rates and fees page, and calculate the total eligible actual seeded acreage advance. Total all rows, and calculate the 60% of eligible production advances. Include the total for Section 2. Finally, total Section A and B, noting that it may not exceed $1 million. Finally, calculate the pre-production advance as the first installment. Be sure to indicate if you wish to receive interest-bearing amounts. Finally, sign and date that form. MCA staff will review this form and ensure that all calculations are correct prior to going ahead with the advance. Once you've planted, you move into a more accurate reporting stage. The final pre-production worksheet reflects your actual seeded acres. This gives us a clear picture of your production and allows us to adjust your advance accordingly. At this point, your application becomes more precise, which helps ensure your advance matches your actual crop. Similarly to the pre-production worksheet, producers are required to complete the same sections. Notably, the difference is to outline the amount received from MCA in the first installment of the pre-production advance, along with current outstanding with overlapping programs. Finally, total sections A and B, noting that it may not exceed $1 million. Finally, calculate the actual final pre-production harvest advance as the second installment. Be sure to indicate if you wish to receive additional advance amounts and/or interest-bearing amount. Again, finally, sign and date that form. If you have already harvested, the process becomes even more concrete. The post-production worksheet is based on crop you already have in storage. At this stage, the advance is backed by actual inventory rather than projected production. You must also provide a harvested production report or undergo a bin inspection to verify your inventory. Without going into detail, the post-production worksheet follows a similar format with a focus on the agriculture product in storage. Critical requirement of the program is proof of production risk coverage. For pre-production or final pre-production advances, you must have crop insurance or participating in a recognized program such as AgriInsurance, AgriStability, or Global Ag Risk Solutions. This ensures the crop backing your advance is protected. You'll also be assigning your crop to Manitoba Crop Alliance as security for the advance. For post-production advances, instead of insurance, you'll need proof of inventory, either through a harvested production report or bin inspection. Once your advance is in place, there are a few ongoing responsibilities. You must maintain enough crop in storage to fully cover your advance until it's repaid. MCA may also conduct a bin inspection while the advance is ongoing. And in some cases, you may be asked to verify information provided in your application, particularly around production or inventory. These are all standard practices that help ensure the program remains secure and sustainable. And finally, there is a one-time administration fee of $250, which will be deducted from your advance payment. Before submitting your application, there are a few key things to double check. First, every form must be completed and signed. Electronic signatures are not accepted at this time, so to make sure you are using a physical signature where required. Second, take the time to review the declaration and terms and conditions. These sections outline your responsibility under the program. Things like repayment expectations, use of funds, and compliance requirements. Understanding these upfront helps avoid issues later on. Before submitting, I strongly recommend you review the checklist on page 1 of the producer application. This checklist is there to help you ensure all required forms are included and all supporting documentation is attached. Taking a few extra moments here can significantly speed up processing time. And most importantly, if any parts of the process feel unclear, you don't have to figure it out on your own. The team here at Manitoba Crop Alliance is here to help. We can walk you through your application, answer questions, and make sure everything is in place so your advance can be processed quickly and smoothly. Completed advances received into the office prior to April 1st will be placed in a queue, with advances to be issued on the first day of the spring program. While the advance payments program is offered by several administrators, who you choose to work with matters. So why apply with Manitoba Crop Alliance? Because we're built for Manitoba farmers. As a farmer-focused organization, we understand Manitoba crops, seasons, and farm operations. That local expertise means clear communication and practical answers, lower costs, and support that fits the realities of farming here at home. At MCA, we deliver the program in a way that works for producers. Through a simple application process, competitive rates, and a smooth experience from application to repayment. What truly sets us apart is a farm-first approach. We work for farmers. When you choose MCA, you're working with an organization that puts producers first, supports long-term farm sustainability, and reinvests directly into Manitoba agriculture. And you're not doing it alone. Whether it's your first application or you're returning to the program, our team is here to support you every step of the way, answering our phones 5 days a week. Because the advance payment program is more than financing, it's a strategic cash flow tool that helps you manage risk, reduce borrowing costs, and make stronger marketing decisions. And when it's delivered locally by a team that knows your operation, it becomes even more valuable. If you're looking for flexible, affordable cash flow backed by responsive small town service, a Manitoba Crop Alliance cash advance is well worth considering. Because for us, this isn't just a transaction, it's part of how we support your success. And our clients agree. Overall satisfaction is rated 4.78 out of 5. Customer service at 4.85 out of 5. With a 92% repeat client rate reflecting strong confidence and loyalty among Manitoba producers. So to wrap up, farming will always come with financial pressures. That's a reality. But tools like the Advanced Payments Program can help shift that pressure into opportunity by improving cash flow, reducing costs, and giving you more control over marketing decisions. This program is designed to work with your operation, not against it. If you're interested in learning more or getting started, we encourage you to reach out to our team. We're here to answer questions, walk through your situation, and help you determine if this program is a right fit for your farm. MCA would appreciate the opportunity to be part of your operation. So with that, we are happy to answer any questions that you might have for us today. I'm joined by our Advanced Payments Program Officer, Tammy Cote, to help answer any of these questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Darcelle. It was a very informative presentation. I do have a few questions for you, but I'll welcome anybody in attendance to write some questions in the Q&A form at the bottom of the screen. Okay, question 1. My brother and I are slowly taking over the farm, but do not have own any land yet. Can we take an advance out and And could we take separate advances out for each of us?
Do you want to go ahead and answer that one? I just need to unmute her.
Tammy, can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So yes, they can, as long as they have the land rented and they hold the crop, if they're taking it in the crop insurance stage, and they have efficient crop insurance.
Okay. And they can take them out separately if they chose?
They would be as related producers if anything matches them up, but we would decide that when we do it.
Okay. Okay. Second question. If I have a spring or pre-production advance, can I apply for more money later in the 18-month period?
If they take out the spring advance or the final pre, they can also apply for more money if they're eligible when they get to their post-production, going off of their harvested production report. If they wait too long after the harvested production report, then we would require a bin inspection to make sure that the crop is still in the bin and in good marketable condition.
Okay. For someone who hasn't used the program before, what's the most important thing they should know before applying?
I would say read the terms and conditions and figure out what your responsibilities are. The actual application and going forward, we could help them with, but they really need to read the terms and conditions and understand the program.
When is the best time for producers to apply, and how does timing impact the value they get from the program?
I can't say for everybody when the best time. Farmers know their expenses and revenues as they're coming in. That depends on them. When we do the pre-production, you only receive the 60%, but a lot of farmers, they think that's very helpful because they have a lot of rent payments coming up usually at the beginning of the year. As for that, it's dependent on your farm, really, when you apply.
Okay. A couple more here. So there are no restrictions on what I use my cash advance for as long as I repay it and as I sell my grain.
That is correct.
Okay. And finally, if there's no more from the attendees, I just have one last one. With multiple administrators offering cash advance, what do you think makes Manitoba Crop Alliance the right choice for Manitoba producers?
Probably the friendly service.
And I'll add on to that our competitive rates for sure, with low cost application of $250, as well as our interest bearing rate of prime minus 0.5. I think that alongside our small town beat the bank service is a great reason to come to Manitoba Crop Alliance.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in. So I will thank Darcelle very much for the great presentation. Obviously, Darcelle and Tammy are both available at the office if you ever have questions for them, to give us a shout at 204-745-6661 or visit our website that has a full cash advance section. I recommend going to there first because you could probably get most of your questions answered there. Our website is mbcropalliance.ca. But this edition of the webinar has been the final part of our Roots to Results webinar series. If you missed any of the past webinars, the full recordings can be viewed on MCA's YouTube channel, and of course, you can access it from our website. The recap articles are also found on our blog if you're interested in looking at those, and they come out in our monthly e-newsletters. So to find any of that information, do go to our website. But otherwise, we thank you again for attending and hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll hopefully see you at our next MCA event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.